with Cate, it was just like, I loved just getting to meet her in person. She's so truly herself, so authentic and so clear, and just embodies her mission, everything about her. So it was wonderful to get to experience that and see her. Getting to be in her home and meet Indy, like all of that, it added a level of depth to being part of Club Thrive that made it more familial.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Inventor and author of Primal Habits, Uninflamed, Master of You, and Body Thrive, and soon to be released, The Witch's Cancer Journal.
A weaver of words and ancient worlds into the future.
Plumbing for depth in the playground of your continual reinvention.
A wisdom rich, a Gayana Yoini.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here.
Ringleader of Club Thrive and Wellness Pro Academy.
A freedom warrior, earth mother, proud mama, devoted wife.
Not your grandmother's Ayurveda.
Futurist. Biohacker. Guru and goofball.
Where truth and freedom prevail.
Evolving the ancient into the future.
Welcome to the Thrive with Cate Stillman podcast. Made for you by us.
Hey, it's Cate Stillman, and welcome to another episode of Thrive with Cate. So we're going to get into a remarkable story of one of our members, Kristen, and she's going to take us on her journey with us, her journey of transformation and growth, and what really happens when you step into the community that is right for you and your identity evolution. So Kristen recently came to the Alta Breakthrough Workshop, which is at my house and on my property on the creek. And so you're going to hear a little bit about her story. And I'm also here with Anna Berkelmans, who is a success coach for us at Club Thrive and Wellness Pro Academy. And she's gonna guide us particularly just through some sharing and some questions. I know a lot of people wonder like what it's like to be on the inside of our club, especially a lot of the members of Wellness Pro Academy who are like, what's happening on the inside of Club Thrive? And then a lot of people who are just, lurkers, of the podcast. I think we just hit 600 episodes of the podcast, and people wondering what it's like to be a member of the community where you're under my tutelage, we're in coaching together. And really that there's this whole other universe that happens within the club. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Anna.
Yeah, there's definitely a vibe in Club Thrive. So I'm grateful to Kristen for sharing her story, which you'll be listening to today on this podcast. And her story really to me is all about stepping out of comfort zone and embarking on this process of self-discovery. So if you want to share Kristen's experiences within the vibrant community of Club Thrive, this is a place where people like us come together and we support each other. It's a community of belonging. So I'd really love you to schedule a call. So schedule a call from the link below from this podcast.
For me, number one, I loved staying with the group of 7 women, those of us that were in the house, and that we've stayed in touch and now have a WhatsApp group, and that the community within the community that we built was really powerful, I think, for all of us. So that was a good aha moment for me, if you will. Like, I have always been someone who is part of multiple communities, has lots of friends, didn't feel like I needed more friends, but going to that and being in this house with all these women who are like-minded and part of the Club Thrive community, everybody was in different branches, right? WPA or Club Hero or whatever, but just everybody being of the same mindset was really, really helpful. And to connect with people in that way, and just the directness, like how honest we could all be with each other and how genuine and deep we could go with our conversations in terms of processing what we were learning at the event, was really helpful to be able to like go back to the Airbnb and then process stuff together and make meals together.
I think one of the key takeaways that I noticed for Kristen is this strength of connection. She was able to connect with a group of amazing women at the Breakthrough event, and she talks about being still connected with them through a WhatsApp group. And so listening to Kristen's story today, I think you'll be able to share in that community revelation that she had. It was And it was a beautiful reminder to her that we're stronger together. So, Cate, it really is about community of belonging. And what I hear from Kristen's experience is that she wasn't necessarily looking for more friends, or she didn't expect to be so embraced into that sense of belonging, which actually propelled her with a united mindset. She felt the authenticity of these connections. She created great memories within this community. So can you talk a little bit about community of belonging and how it feels for you now? I would say 20 years on, from beginning in like a yurt with like 6 people to now having this amazing dynamic community. I'd love to hear your experience with that.
Yeah. There's this sense that I've always had of building the structure of transformation. You know, it's like a lot of people in this industry in wellness, they want to like build a studio or build a retreat center or build, you know, a place for people to come together for deep transformation. And what I found over the years is that, like, absolutely, and there's a way to do it very etherically and globally, in which the experience is actually grounded. Like what we find with our members in Club Thrive is this unanticipated experience of just how grounded a growth group can be. And what I find so much for most of us in Club Thrive, I probably could say all of us, is it's like there's relationships inside the club and relationships outside the club. And often people come into the club and they don't know, it's like they're not looking for friends. They're looking for, I mean, for Kristen, she was looking to, you know, be a successful entrepreneur. She's a single mom raising 2 kids. She wanted to be an empowered parent. I know she's lost something like, I don't know, 12 to 15 pounds in Club Thrive. And she wasn't really coming in to lose weight, but she had a sense of like, I'm a more powerful person inside here and I want my imbalances to just fall away. So the structure and the intention, you know, so the structure of the club and the intention of what is it that we're here to do. And Club Thrive does 2 main things: primal habits and strategic life design. And so some people come in and they really just need to heal, right? And they get into that path. We direct them into that path, like, do this first because it'll loosen up so much energy for strategic life design. And what I've seen in Kristen is she's been able to do both. When you're in a community where everyone's doing the same thing in their own way, everything keeps pointing back into the core competencies in the curriculum. And then a lot of the sort of like regular everyday conversations that we have, you know, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's with friends or whatnot, where it just sort of feels like it's not as powerful, it's not as potent, it's not what I feel like. It feels like I'm sort of wasting time. It feels like time's slipping through the hourglass, right? That experience is really common for people when they join Club Thrive. And then they start to see it's like, wow, in here, I can't believe how much transformation I can experience, how quickly it like scrambles their minds because of their past rate of growth, right? Or it's somewhat 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's like, what happens if we stop taking the 1 step back? And for a lot of people, it's 1 step forward and 1 step back, right? And it's kind of spinning the wheels and not really going anywhere. But when you have a community, when you have the strength of a container, the direction of a curriculum, and the potency of transformational coaching, like a lot keeps happening that gains power and gains traction, and then other things in your life just fall away. So we often hear from people who like want to be in the club is they're like, I don't want, it's too etheric because it's online, or I don't have the time. And what we really find in stories like Kristen is like, well, actually, like this club will generate a ton of time because it's strategic life design, and you'll heal and you'll have way more energy and focus. And then there's the like, good luck finding something like this that's not online, just simply because it's very, I mean, there's just not another club like Club Thrive. It's unique it is a unicorn. It is unique unto itself. It does reside in 20 years of experimentation in dynamic community development.
And thought leadership with you, Cate, I think you exemplify authenticity in action. I know for Kristen, she was observing how you embody this unwavering clarity and authenticity. And that's magnetic. It draws Kristen closer to her vision. She was able to observe she was able to be with other people who were business owners who had some of the skills that she wanted to have. And she, being in that environment, she was able to observe and pinpoint the exact skills that she would be working on next. And she was able to go back and also engage her 16-year-old son in the listening to particular influences based on the skills that they both want to grow next. And so I think authenticity is a big part of what people like us really value in Club Thrive. And I certainly hear our Club Thrive members talking about what a safe space it is, that there's sort of almost this privacy to evolve and experience the magic of their own authenticity.
Yeah, I came up in Wellness Pro Academy yesterday when I was coaching, and someone was saying, like, well, it can, with a group, people can be really, hesitant or reserved. And I was like, question those beliefs, because like I know Lori posted something in our forum the other day. It was like a clip off of Club Thrive of our forum, and it was someone just being like, "Oh my gosh, I've only been in here 2 weeks, and I can't believe how intimate and connected I feel already to this group." And we haven't met in person, and so there's, to me, this, I think, because of my studies, my deep studies in yogic philosophy, from classical through Advaita Vedanta, through Tantra, into evolutionary enlightenment, like we can really question beliefs. And I think a lot of the beliefs we can question right now have a lot to do with how humans can form a collective and use technology to our advantage, because so many people are using technology to their disadvantage, right? Where it's just like the devices are controlling us instead of us controlling the devices. And so as we take that back, right, and we're like, oh wow, what's really possible in meeting up? And I feel like so much of the structures that we've built in Club Thrive, including the dynamic club, twice a month workshops that we have, these collaboration calls where it's like a very dynamic collaborative atmosphere where we're learning the skills of collaborative intelligence, that it is a specific skill set, just like strategic life design. It's a specific skill set. Either you have it and you're using it with yourself and your family or your team, or you're not. And if you're not, you're really at the mercy of those who are controlling the apps, whichever apps you're using, and where they want your attention to go. And we're just going to see more and more of that. Like there's going to be a real splintering of the people who have like both hands on the driver's wheel, on the steering wheel of their attention, of their intention, and of their direction. And like everyone else who's just kind of like still in consumer, not creator mindset, and is like just really going along for the ride and wondering why their money is worth less year over year, and like wondering how to break free of what can maybe feel like whatever, just something that's a life that seems a little bit less than what we want.
And I would say with Cate, it was just like, I loved the hike that we did. And we were, of course, all like talking the whole time. And she's like picking weeds and telling us what to eat and chew on and all that, which was awesome. I loved just getting to meet her in person. She's so truly herself, so authentic and so clear, and just embodies her mission, everything about her. So it was wonderful to get to experience that and see her. Getting to be in her home and meet Indy, like all of that, it added a level of depth to being part of Club Thrive that made it more familial, which was really important to me. I've always gravitated towards work environments and play environments where I feel like the people I'm with are family. That's really important to me. I feel like I have a lot of chosen family that are just, that way because we connect on a deep level. So I'm really grateful for that. And the outdoors aspect, I'm very outdoorsy. So I loved that, plunging in the creek every day and all of that. I mean, for me, like a major key takeaway was for my business. That was kind of what I went in trying to figure out is how do I make more income? Because I was kind of at like ground zero, needed to make more income right away. And I was thankfully in a small group doing Troika, and Cate was there and two other business owners. And it was wonderful to have their thoughts. And then, of course, each of the other small groups that we did helped build on that over the course of the retreat. But that one really stood out to me with the brainstorming and the ideas that people had and just how direct they each were with their advice. And I really took it to heart, and I'm working on it, doing it, implementing it, and I'm seeing the results. And being able to also connect with Cate in person and be able to then join in the leadership aspect and help with copy and become part of Club Hero, like all of that feels like such a gift.
Yeah. And I know that in our community of Club Thrive, unlocking insights with liberating structures is a big part of what we do. And I know it was a standout moment for Kristen at the event to be in a brainstorming session with fellow business owners. And she found herself, as I mentioned earlier, getting ignited and sparking ideas for how she can boost income. And she got fast results. She went home and she started to get an increase in income straight away. And so I think she talks about integration and implementation. And so we've got a way of building ideas in small groups that leads to transformational insights. And then you end up with someone like Kristen whose gratitude is overflowing. And then that just leads to the next result. And the journey doesn't stop there. I noticed that translates then into health transformation and just taking swift action. Kristen said quite often she might sit on, I'll do that next. And, with your energy, Cate, there's just direct action.
Yeah. I mean, the more it's like the older I get, the more I learn, the more I coach, the more I live in, my own life. It's like experimentation. What experiments am I running? What experiment am I running next? And how quickly do the results come? Because they should be immediate. Because what also happens, this community has its roots in yoga and Ayurveda. And Ayurveda, for those who don't know, is the healing science from India. And when you live in aligned rhythm, when you're living in circadian rhythm, when you're living in deep alignment to who you really are, and that naturally happens with Ayurveda. I mean, a big part of I'd say new members and really experienced members alike is like we do a lot with fast mimicking diet. We do a lot with detox, with seasonal detox. We do a lot with primal habits challenges. And so it unleashes a lot of energy. So a lot of people right now don't have as much energy. A lot of people come into the club and they don't have as much energy. I just actually was welcoming a new member into Club Hero, which is our pro group inside Club Thrive. And she just can't wait to get the 15, 20 pounds off. Like she just knows it's weighing her down. And I sent her a recent recording inside Club Hero to help her, learn who's in the club and adjust. And she went through the workshop and she could see why she was weighing herself down. Like she could see why it was just sort of slowing down her ability to experience, the best life she wanted to live right now. And that was just on her way into the club, which is why we're getting into the club is a transformational experience in itself. So even if you're just I don't even know if I should be in there, don't worry, come check it out and you'll know and we'll know. And if you're not a fit, we'll both know. And that's great for, that's why Club Thrive works so well. It's because it's the people in there are selected.
Yeah, I definitely see that. The turning point, some people sort of wake up and feel like they're going to go into uncharted territory, but really what we see is just this organic evolution of identity evolution from that moment where they make a crucial choice to invest in themselves. And then we see tangible results all along, even before they've actually officially started the club.
Yeah. I mean, it's true in Wellness Pro Academy too. I was just talking with someone today she's not even in Wellness Pro Academy yet. And she's gone through our prep phase that where we suss out who you are, and we also suss out what the real work is for you next. We do that both into Club Thrive and to Wellness Pro Academy, so that we as your leaders and mentors and guides and you as a member know exactly what the real work is for you next. And the more that becomes crystal clear for both of us, the faster people make progress. And that also came up yesterday.
Yeah, it's so fun not only to be able to go on the journey, but to be able to articulate that direct path. I was coaching somebody to design their own exclusive club for health transformation yesterday, and I said to them, oh yeah, people like us, we mine for people's gaps, and that tells us what the opportunities are. And her whole energy just lit up. She's like, exactly. And so there's something is truly exhilarating with not only being on the journey, but being in a community where you share language, we have values, we have our mission. And when that's aligned within the community, it creates momentum and it turns dreams into reality.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. And then it's like you can have exponential change quickly. Like, and to me, that's the whole point. Like, that's my game within Club Thrive and in Wellness Pro Academy, is it's like, if it's the right person for the club, like how fast can they get to transformational results? And then what happens, like from that initial breakthrough to the next breakthrough to the next breakthrough, because you start stacking breakthroughs and soon you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been sort of like asleep at the steering wheel of my life. And like, damn, I wish I had started this sooner. Like, I feel like that's the, like the underlying current for a lot of people. And then there's also the divine timing of right now. I find so much of what many people are learning, particularly women, are processing right now, is this holding back from what they want. We've been just so indoctrinated into delay of desire. And what happens with that is then you have like, second or third tier desires. So say like what you really want is like, yes, I want, like, this sounds great. That sounds amazing. I want all that. Right. But then you're like, I can't have that because I'm not allowed to have what I really want, because you're trained in that, some like PTSD training in the first, 20 years of your life. And then you say yes to the second and third, maybe even fourth level desires. And fourth level desires, like essentially like the equivalent of a cookie, or like buying a thing on Amazon, right? Or like going out to dinner and like feeling special because you're blah, blah, blah. But you're drinking too much or eating too much, or it's too rich, or you stay up late and you wish you could meditate and like blah, 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 and it's like, that's what happens when we say no to what we really want, which will actually like lock us in to change, right? Like click in. Like I ski a lot, right? And like one of the big differences between skiing and surfing is like clicking in. Like on a surfboard, you're not clicked in, right? So you're like feet are holding traction on the board. With skiing, like you click in, and these skis are on your feet. I mean, yeah, there's emergency release valves and all that, but like you're clicked in for the journey. And to me, that's what being a club member is it's like, okay, we're really clear before you get in. Just like with Kristen, it's like really clear. This is what success looks like for you. It's very specific. And that process for a lot of people is so hard because all they've done is say yes to second and third layer desires or second and third tier desires, that they don't even know what their first tier desires are.
It's interesting because I think what builds confidence is taking action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe that's what I meant by the directness, like by Kate's directness. It is action. She just moves. She just takes action. Yeah. And yes, I read that recently. I don't think it was from Ozzy, but someone recently I read that from that, like that is what you need. You need to just act, just move.
Yeah.
Then exactly. Like people think that they need to think about things or, whatever, but like you actually need to do it, and then you'll learn what you need to learn through doing it. So that's very counter to what I was taught and how I was raised. So it is like a complete flip of the order that I was taught to do things in. And it feels amazing because I'm releasing the people pleasing. I'm releasing the perfectionism. I'm like, just do it. There is sometimes some like, I don't know what I would call it, like I just have to hustle a little bit more or be smart about my time or, but I also know that's a skill of mine. I'm good generally at organizing time and following through. And I like that as I get more work and clients and I'm doing things and just acting, I am almost like I'm in a flow state in a way that it doesn't feel like it's as tempting to procrastinate, which was kind of big. Like that was a big thorn in my side for a long time. And I feel like it's finally starting to come out a little bit because I'm bringing joy. I'm choosing, projects and clients and think not even like, yes, I'm choosing them, but like we talked in Club Hero about like the verticality and the divine feminine. And that has been happening like these last 2 weeks.
Oh, beautiful.
Incredibly well. And so I'm just like paying attention and like, yes, just bring it on. So that's amazing. And I'm acknowledging that and seeing that and feeling grateful. And, but also, so it's that flow, right? Like being in a flow state where I'm not feeling like I'm having to push or force anything.
And then, we help them figure that out. And then, 6 months into the club, then that really turns on. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, and it gets a lot more often specific. And then it gets really exciting.
Yeah. And then they get the hit of the experience that all human beings should experience, which is leadership. And it's fascinating to see how that yields confidence and confident action.
Yeah. Yeah. And so much of, I think, of what we model is this collaborative leadership. Like my whole point at this phase, after Yoga Healer and Yoga Health Coaching and now with Club Thrive and Wellness Pro Academy, is it's like, this is the model of collaborative leadership. And then people bring that into their, into their work. They bring it into their families. Like I've seen that so much with you and your family and your kids and how they have a totally different skill set because you're their mom. And like Kristen's kids will have a totally different skill set because Kristen's their mom. And it's like, if you guys weren't in Club Thrive, like it just doesn't happen on its own.
Yeah. It's definitely like they have if they were artists in life, they have like a extended palette of different shades. And I watched my kids who range from age 9 to 16 who've really been.
James is 9. Oh my gosh.
And James is like complete Club Thrive baby. And I guess the older daughter, Sophie, she's half, but they, and it's interesting because obviously like when they've rebelled or they've been a bit cheeky about the structures that you try to use, you can see that down the track, it then becomes something that they turn to, they ask for. It's fascinating. You think that they're not absorbing anything, but they're just like little sponges. And even when they're pushing away from the structures you want to create within the leadership that you're modeling in the household, my kids are all strong leaders. And yeah, I know that Club Thrive and people like us have had a big part of it. And the best part is that I've got people who witness it. And I can share that joy and pride with, whereas in other social structures, for example, book club or mother's group, you'd be looked at as a bit of a tool if you were trying to celebrate those wins.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think like we've really touched on all the key elements that Kristen has delightfully shared from her own experiences today. And I really encourage the listeners to jump on to a discovery call with me, whether it's you're wanting to have a breakthrough and you want to get clear on what that looks like, or you've got some body goals that you want to really get clear on, then schedule on the link below and you'll be so glad that you did. It's such an honor to be able to create a container for somebody to really focus on themselves for 30 minutes and gain that clarity.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. And what I find, because I receive a lot, so I do things like this, like schedule calls like this, and I find just complete transparency is so the fastest path. Like just really being in the space of, this is my current challenge, or this is my current crises, and this is what's really going on. There's something really gorgeous to being able to be anonymous in a way, and yet so deeply personal that the conversation itself is transformational. Cool. We good?
We're good. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Anna.